Thanks for being here. Subscribe to Cheating Stories Best, so you don't miss new stories.
I was awakened by the early morning light and the singing of mountain birds. I heard the sound of chipmunks running around the camp, cleaning up the crumbs left over from my camp dinner. The pure morning joy I felt in nature after so many years quickly faded as today's reality hit me. Here at 6,000 feet, the air was fresh and cool, and as I stepped out of the tent, I was captivated by the beauty of an alpine lake surrounded by snow-capped mountains. I wanted to push the painful realities deeper, clear my mind, go fishing, but I knew that today was the very day that I had been dreading for the last month. Today is the day of confrontation, which I must face harshly and definitively so that I can then start all over again. I cooked a sort of breakfast of eggs and sausage on the portable stove along with thick black coffee. As I sat there finishing my drink and gearing up for the 6-mile high hike, I marveled at how beautiful and peaceful this moment in time was. I reminded myself that yes, there is beauty and enjoyment in life if you just keep moving forward in the right way. I knew I would definitely return to camping, hiking, fishing, and sailing, my old hobbies that I put aside for 23 years of marriage to the love of my life. Well, now I will say that this was the woman I once wholeheartedly considered to be the love of my life. I'm an optimist. I hope there will be another one at some point. The walk down was pleasant and uneventful, and I didn't encounter anyone on the trail until where I parked. I packed my car with my gear and started driving out onto the main highway. I turned my phone back on after being unplugged for the last 3 days and knew that when I got within cell coverage, the texts and emails would begin. As I pulled onto the 2-lane paved county road, I heard the first beep of the message and looked down to see that it was my 21-year-old son, Ryan. Ryan and I were not only father and son but became best friends and confidants going through the trials and tribulations of his tumultuous teenage years and emerging with respect and a strong mutual love. Ryan's message was short and to the point. Dad, I love you and support you. Good luck today and stay positive. Somewhere, someday, there will be a light at the end of this tunnel. His words of encouragement brought tears to my eyes and helped strengthen me in what I had to do. The next message I opened was from my daughter, Krista, and it was also a promise of support and love. Dad, how I wish I could be with you, hug you, and tell you that everything will be fine. You are the best father we can imagine and always put us first. Now you have to put yourself first. No matter what happens, you need to know that Ryan and I love you and will always be here for you. Krista had always been a daddy's girl, and although she was the spitting image of my beautiful wife Linda in her younger years, Krista had my sense of adventure, love of the outdoors, and crazy sense of humor, none of which Linda possessed. At least I was blessed with children that I loved, respected, and who would be the best legacy I would ever leave behind at the end of what I hope would be a happy and fulfilling life. Again, I stopped to take a breather to carefully review my messages, emails, voicemails, and missed calls. There have been 10 missed calls from my wife in the last 3 days. The first 7 or so were probably from her 3-day banking seminar and supposed business trip to Vegas, and the last 3 seem to have been after she returned last night and then again this morning. I can imagine how angry she was when I wasn't at the airport to pick her up and when I didn't answer her calls or texts. I didn't bother with voicemails. I deleted them all and went to my inbox. Of course, Linda wrote to me about 20 times in the last 3 days, and again, I did not answer them. I skimmed through them, with the first few being her declaration of her endless love for me. What crap, I thought, probably out of guilt. The last few were toxic, full of resentment because I didn't answer her calls and left her waiting at the airport for over an hour before she finally realized I wasn't coming. The last message from her was simply, WTF Jack, all in caps. How our relationship had changed over the past months, although I don't think she even understood how the spark of love in me that had always burned for her began to slowly fade away. Had she really drifted away from me that much over the last treacherous 4 months? Had she really lost all conscious thought about me, about my feelings, and about the pain in my eyes, which I was surprised she did not? Did she so easily forget about her children, about our family, and about the love we shared for so long? It was perhaps even more depressing than her novel. Linda was beautiful at 44. She had incredible curves, slender legs, and firm breasts, and she knew how to work her body for any occasion. Whether flirting at a social event or playing the role of a rising star banking professional in the trust department of the U.S. Bank of Commerce. I was always proud to be seen with her, and I loved the way men looked at her, barely able to contain their lust and avert their eyes. Knowing that she was mine and that we were forever woven into each other gave me a huge boost of self-respect and selfishness. As we passed lustful onlookers, I told her how beautiful and desirable she was, but she always protested that she was getting old and no longer felt as young, energetic, and sexy as she used to. I could tell it was bothering her, and I tried to reassure her that her light was getting brighter, not dimmer. But she simply ignored my compliments, saying, "You just have to say it because you are my husband and you love me anyway." Her underboss, John Monroe, somehow became a new light in her life, at least sexually. Now, obviously, I was considered a somewhat boring but reliable best friend, although for me, we even stopped being friends. But again, Linda didn't notice this. John Monroe, the wealthy vice president of the trust department, was thin, tall, and so self-confident that I found him obnoxious the several times I met him. But Linda considered him the epitome of a great leader, at least that's what she said when we discussed her work life and him. But that too suddenly stopped 4 months ago. Looking back, I now believe that this was the beginning of her affair, the beginning of the end of 23 years together. I brushed aside my depressive thoughts, looked at my phone again, and deleted all her messages with an angry growl, then moved on to other emails. My lawyer informed me that everything is ready to go according to our agreements. I also noticed that I had something in the private chat and opened it to read. "The man you were interested in got into serious trouble during a robbery, one crushed testicle and a shattered knee." When I closed the chat, everything was automatically erased. The next email I reviewed was confirmation that my resignation from my job had been accepted and my 401k and stock options had been liquidated and the proceeds transferred to my new checking account. I'll be fine for at least a few years, although the tax sting will be painful, but I really didn't care. I needed to leave. I was about to pull out onto the road when the phone rang and I saw it was Linda. I decided there would be no better time to talk than now and equated it to ripping off a band-aid. This needs to be done quickly and convincingly. I pulled over, turned off the engine, and answered the phone as dispassionately as I could. "Hey Linda, what happened? What's the matter?" "What the hell do you mean? First of all, where are you? You weren't at the airport to pick me up and you weren't home all night. You haven't even left a note or answered my calls or messages since last week. What the hell, Jack? Tell me what happened." "Gee, Linda, I thought you wouldn't care whether I answered or not. Did you see me or not? I thought you'd be glad I'm not home. This way you can get yourself cleaned up and back in character before you see me, the kids, our friends, and your parents. Isn't that how your double life works?" "What? Why do you say that, Jack? I don't understand. What double life? You know that I have to travel for work. And by the way, why don't the children answer my calls and messages? Where's our king-size mattress from the master bedroom? Last night, I had to sleep in the guest bedroom, Jack. What the hell is going on? Where the hell are you? And why did you leave me at the airport? I feel like I'm in the twilight zone and nothing makes sense." "Linda, you are in that twilight zone into which you have driven yourself and our entire family." Linda's anger and aggressive verbal attack died down as her confidence must have begun to fall and her worst fears began to surface. "What? What the hell does that mean, Jack? Where are you and what's happening?" "No matter where I am or where I'm going, I'm out of town, Linda, and I've been too busy last week to answer your texts and calls. I have been very busy trying to figure out how to move on from the major betrayal in my current life and into my new life." Linda hesitated and her voice shook when she heard the word betrayal, but she continued to play dumb and shouted, "Jack, are you drunk? What are you talking about? First of all, Linda, tell me how your 3-day banking conference went. Did that guy John have sex with you every night and morning, or just 3 nights? I heard her gasp and go silent when I said that, and it took her a few seconds to respond. "What the hell are you talking about? What is John like, and why do you say that? I'm married to you. Yes, Jack, you are married to me, and I am amazed that you still consider this a marriage. So, can you at least do me the courtesy? After 23 years of marriage, tell me the truth. I know you have had no respect or care for me or your family for the past few months, but now that the lies and deceit have been exposed, how about being honest?" Linda answered in a trembling and quiet voice, "Jack, I don't know what you're imagining, but you're wrong. I love only you. There's nothing between me and John Monroe." "Well, at least now you've admitted that you know which John we're talking about." For a moment, it seemed to me that JN was not the only one there, Linda. Tell me honestly, did you think you'd never get caught, or did you just not care? Why didn't you want to tell me that you wanted a divorce and loved someone else? It would be a lot easier for everyone if you had the courage to let us know before you lie and cheat behind our backs. Jack, Linda shouted, and I heard her cry, "Don't even mention the word divorce, please. Believe me, I love only you. Please come home so we can talk about this. Nothing happened. How can you think otherwise?" Apparently, Linda was convinced I had no proof and was bluffing, so she was going to continue the charade. "So you never had sex with Monroe in our bedroom on our now missing king-size mattress?" "No, of course not. What the hell are you talking about, Jack?" "Wait a minute, Linda. Okay." With that, I pulled out a photo of John Monroe having sex with Linda while she was on all fours. She looked like she was in ecstasy, and judging by the intense expression on his face, he was obviously giving it his all. It was one of many photos and videos I received from a camera hidden in plain sight inside the dresser clock I had bought a month ago when I was warned about her affair. I sent the photo to Linda and switched back to the call. "Linda, check out the photo I just sent you. Are you telling me it's not my loving wife cheating on me in my bedroom on my huge mattress without a condom with her damn boss?" I heard her hang up and scream in agony, "Oh God, no, Jack. Please, it was a mistake. It only happened once. It didn't mean anything. It was just a fling, just the excitement of someone younger who wanted me so bad and made me feel sexy and young again. It was the only time, and I really never meant for it to hurt you. Oh God, I'm so sorry, but Jack, if it..." "Linda, look out the window in the middle of the backyard. See this pile of charred wood, metal, and ash? This is our damn king-size mattress. This is a symbol of how you set fire to our marriage, how you betrayed our family, how you humiliated me. When did you hate me enough to cause me such pain? When did you decide that you no longer cared about my love or the love of our children? When did you decide that I was no longer worthy of respect and honesty? When and why did you decide to throw us out like morning trash? Jack, please, please forgive me. I love you. I can never hate you. I want to spend my whole life with you. It was an accident, a terrible mistake, and only once. It was me who was selfish. You have absolutely nothing to do with it. Please, Jack, come home and talk to me. Linda, my children and I are already fed up with lies and deception. Can you finally be honest with me?" "So that's why the kids don't answer my calls, Jack? Did you tell them and turn them against me? How dare you, Linda? I haven't done a damn thing to keep the kids away from you. You did it all by yourself. That is you and your damn friend. It's all you, your selfish, self-centered attitude and your need for sex with someone else's man is what brought you into the twilight zone and what took our entire family and destroyed it and drove us all away from you. And no, it wasn't me who told the children, it was the children who told me. What a pity. I never would have thought that you could lie, deceive me, and abandon us so easily. At least stop lying now. This wasn't just one damn time, this has been going on for at least 4 months, judging by the way you emotionally cut us all out of your life. And the saddest thing is that you didn't even realize it. You stopped talking to us, stopped looking at me, stopped making love to me except for the occasional mercy sex. You disgust me. Jack, it doesn't mean anything. It was just sex, just one time, and just a brief lapse in judgment after 23 years of marriage. I want you, not John. Please believe me. Linda, wait, I pulled out the next photo from my phone, the one where Ryan came home unannounced to pick up some tools and heard his mother and Monroe doing it. He quietly crept to the open door of the master bedroom, took out his phone, and took several pictures and videos. He didn't tell me about it for 2 weeks until he and Krista decided I had a right to know. So they called me and told me, and we all cried and were physically sick watching their mother, my wife, betray her with his boss. This is what prompted me to buy a spy camera. I also sent this photo to Linda. Linda, open the phone again. This is the first time any of us have found out about you and your damn boss. Although the way you cut all emotional ties with me 3 months before this picture, I'm sure you were lovers this whole time, Linda. Ryan discovered you first and he took a photo of you in bed having sex. What the hell do you think your son feels about you after witnessing his mother's betrayal? Don't you realize that it turned him off and that you lost his and Krista's respect when they looked at those pictures and tried to decide whether to tell me about your adulterous behavior? Do you think they have even an ounce of trust or respect for you now? Do you know how painful it was for them to tell me that you were a liar and how hard it was to hear them cry as they watched you ruin our marriage and destroy our family? Just stop lying about how it only happened once and how it hasn't been going on for months and how you didn't have sex with him 6 or 7 times on this latest business trip. I'll hang up on your next lie. No, Jack, please let me explain. I heard Linda sobbing at the top of her lungs and I imagined her collapsing on the floor as she finally realized that her lies and betrayal had hurt her family and herself. Oh God, Jack, I'm so sorry. Please, you must forgive me. I went crazy, but it's over now. It was just cheap and meaningless sex, and it was so exciting to be desired and secretly involved in an illicit affair. I felt young and desirable again, but there was no love and I never wanted to hurt you. But I don't know how I could not see it. I didn't even realize how distant I was from you and the children, and I'm ashamed to admit that right now I wake up and see myself as some other person from a horror movie or nightmare, and I hate myself for it because I love you, the children, and our life together. Oh dear Jack, please come home so I can make things right. I need to make us a family again. Linda, there's no us, we're done. You can't say you loved me after you cheated on me and caused me pain and emotional damage. You have shown that you have no respect for me, no care for anyone but yourself, and because of your lies and deceit, I will never be able to trust you again. Everything we had before is now tainted and suspicious. Have you been cheating on me with him for the last few years or 4 months? How many other men have you had? Do I need to have my children's DNA tested? Don't bother answering because I won't believe a word you say. Of course, I need to get tested for STDs. You and I have nothing left. You hurt me like no other, and I could never imagine that the person I loved and bet my life on would throw me away like a piece of trash. But you did it. Maybe the kids will find their way to you eventually, but I sure as hell never will. Jack, please don't say that. I'll do anything. I'll go to a psychologist. You can have sex with other women. Please do not leave me. I lived with a feeling of guilt. I wanted to stop, and I always came back to you. It was just a pointless fling. Oh God, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Linda, save your breath. I don't believe a word you say, and at this point, I just don't care about you or your lies. Now listen to me carefully. What is happening now? On Monday, the bank will hand you divorce papers. God, no, Jack. Please don't divorce me, please. Linda, listen to me. Your boss's wife has already received copies of the video and photos of your dirty affair when you cheated on me with him in our bedroom. So chances are you and damn John Monroe will be stuck with each other when his wife and I both leave your cheating asses. Jack, please tell me you didn't do this. He has a wife and 2 children. Why are you going to destroy them? Wow, Linda, you just don't understand. It's not me who is destroying their family. You and damn John Monroe ruined everything. Your cheap affair ruined not only my life, your life, and the lives of our children, but also his wife and children. You can be proud of yourself. You had a hand in the death of 8 people. Luckily for you, you're such a selfish person that you probably don't care. Her sobs exploded. I heard it over the phone. But I'm not done yet. Your boss will be sued civilly for alienation of affection. Although we'll have to find out which hospital he's in, apparently he was out of luck, wrong place, wrong time. I heard from a friend that Monroe was mugged in an airport parking lot and ended up in the hospital with a crushed testicle and a shattered knee. So it's hard to say when he'll be fit enough to have sex with anyone again. Stop it, Jack. Stop being so cruel. I don't care about him, I just want you. Please don't do this to us. Listen, Linda, again, we're not here. It's hard to say whether you and your boss will still have your jobs by the end of next week because I also sent these photos to the president and board members of the U.S. Bank of Commerce along with the alienation of affection and sexual harassment lawsuit. If they want to negotiate, I will try to keep you on the job, but I will require them to fire him for cause. No, Jack, no. Do you really hate me that much? Linda, you yourself showed your hatred for me with your betrayal, lies, and disrespect. You took the love I cherished for you and tore it from my soul. I'm just trying to regain some self-respect before our lives go in different directions. At this point, Linda was crying so hard and making cries of disbelief and denial that I was not sure she would be able to listen to me any longer. I held back my anger and felt pain and remorse for what I was putting her through because I knew I still loved her even though I hated her. It was a very disturbing mixture of emotions that tore at my soul, but overall, I was determined to take revenge and mortally wound her for what she had done to me. Linda, we're almost finished. Try to focus on the next few points. I took the $125,000 we had in savings and used $225,000 to pay for Krista's next 2 years of college. I will help her in the future, but for now, this is all I can afford. I'm leaving the house to you. I signed the contract in your name, and the capital will be about $100,000 if you sell it now. I'm not selling our house, Jack, and I want you to stop this madness and come back to me so we can heal, please, for our 23 years of love and happiness before I go crazy. I ignored this remark and continued, Linda, if you sign the divorce, you will keep the house and all its contents. I'll keep the $100,000 that's left from our savings and we'll call it a day. If you don't agree to the divorce or start fighting it, I don't care. I won't be there to argue. Do what you want. We're almost done, Linda. There are a few more things I need to tell you. If you look around, you'll notice that I've moved out. I took what I wanted and all that's left is yours. I took some photos and left the wedding photo albums with you. Save them, burn them, I don't care. I left my wedding ring on the dresser. You can melt it or flush it down the toilet as happened with our marriage. Ryan is coming to pick up some of my fishing and hunting gear that he needs. He will come when you are not there, so do not be alarmed if you notice that someone has been in the house. He doesn't want to see you. Krista is coming to pick up all her things. She has no plans to ever live there again. She'll also like to come by when you're away, so don't be surprised if you see her room empty. The last thing you should know is that I also sent pictures of you cheating on me to your parents, my parents, and all of our contacts in both of our email databases. So you might want to work on that. What story will you tell them all? I'll be damned if I'm going to be the bad guy in this bad marriage. Her crying and screaming had now risen to such a level that I was afraid she would pass out or get hurt. This had to end. Linda, one more thing. I quit my job last week and am moving out of state into the great unknown. I hope I can find someone in the future who loves me enough to stay true to the promises we make to each other, someone who will respect me, treat me as an equal, and someone I can trust and love again. I hope that you, in turn, will be able to find what you clearly lacked. Please don't look for me. If you need me for anything, you can send a message through Ryan or through my lawyer, but I will be out of your life and you out of mine. Goodbye, Linda. I heard her scream, Jack, no, please, Jack, please forgive me. I pressed the end call button and closed my eyes, waiting for the aftermath of my harsh words to settle in. I passed out and burst into an excruciating bout of crying and pain. I think I knew I had gone too far with my revenge and it would take me a long time to forgive myself for my cruelty. I doubted that I would ever forgive her. I knew the road ahead of me would be painful before I could heal myself and feel ready for something more than living alone. More than anything, I didn't want to lead a life full of bitterness. But remembering the morning on the top of the mountain, I reminded myself that there would still be moments of beauty and magic in my life. I just needed to stay open to them and keep moving towards a new beginning. Thank you for listening to this story. Now here is another exciting story for you to read. When I left the hospital, I was in a fog. My life had been turned upside down or inside out as I felt. Now, by a simple DNA test, I could not and did not want to return home. I needed to think, so I headed to a bar near the hospital and ordered a large Bloody Mary. At least once, but I really needed this drink. The bar was empty, so I took my drink, sat at a separate table, and began to think. My life, as I imagined it, was now over. I'm Bob. I am 42 years old and have been married to Nancy for 15 years. Nancy is a year younger than me and we have two beautiful little girls, 11-year-old Andrea and 8-year-old Kimberly. Just an hour ago, our life was simple, a little predictable, but full of love and wonderful moments. This has changed dramatically. Of course, I didn't want to lose the girls, but if it came to that, well, in the long run, when my plan came to fruition, it would probably be better for them. Instead of a messy marriage full of resentment and mistrust, it would be better to simply end it and start over. I arrived home and Nancy's Lexus was already in the driveway as expected. The children were not at home and I could immediately talk to my wife. I'm not an actor, but I managed to hide my true feelings and even put a smile on my face. Returning from work, Nancy was in the kitchen. Since I was a school principal and she worked as an accountant, we both had a regular schedule and always shared the day-to-day work of the family. It was her day to cook dinner and she barely glanced at me when I kissed her on the cheek. I got a good look at her. She was still as beautiful as when we met, just a little tighter, as we all do over the years. Busy for several minutes, she finally put dinner in the oven and turned to me sitting at the kitchen table. As always, her green eyes and blonde hair took my breath away. I am considered a handsome man, about 6 feet tall and weighing 180 pounds, and Nancy has always been a very bright and attractive woman. She raised her eyebrows at me and her questioning gaze met my smile. Something sweet or funny? I stood up and hugged her, and as I looked down at her, I realized that my height and looks were one of the reasons she allowed me into her life. My hug was followed by a gentle probing kiss that gained momentum and turned into a hungry French kiss. I paused. I love you so much it hurts, I said. Okay, now the moment of truth has come. Well, I have very good news. Do you know how much I love my girls? But I always wanted a boy. Yes, she answered, completely confused. Well, soon I will become the father of a boy, I said. Nancy was stunned. What? I don't understand. What are you talking about? The boy, I'm not pregnant, not with you. But I will become the father of a boy in 5 months if nothing goes wrong, God forbid, I said, forcing myself to smile. Well, the force of the powerful slap wiped away the smile. This was expected, but it still hurt a lot. But honey, I love you. It was just an accident. It was just sex, I argued with her, but to no avail. Over the next few hours, Nancy experienced a range of emotions from devastation at the betrayal to anger and rage. The girls were sent straight to their bedroom while Nancy vented her frustration and anger. Soon, I packed my suitcase and left the house, never to return. The following week, I was served with divorce papers. The reason for divorce is infidelity. It means a lot in our state. I was only given a few hours of visiting time with the girls each week. I often received calls from Nancy who needed to vent her emotions. She was in pain, very painful. I never had an answer to her repeated question, why did you do this to me, to us? All my requests to leave this behind and continue as before were met with a wall of anger and complete refusal. I was a bastard and she would take me to the cleaners. For months later, we finally made it to court. My lawyer did challenge her proposal for an unequal division of assets as well as her proposed child custody. The judge began to ponder the motive. He asked if I disputed the charge of infidelity. My lawyer was not at all surprised when I said that not only did I not dispute the motive for infidelity, but I also provided data to substantiate it. Both the wife's lawyer and the judge were taken by surprise. Do you understand, sir, that with regard to your infidelity, the plaintiff has presented no evidence? And if I rule on this divorce with evidence of infidelity, that will directly affect what my decision will be. The 50-50 division of assets you asked for would be impossible to achieve, the judge explained. May I, Your Honor? Asked my lawyer. Both lawyers approached the judge. Lawyer Nancy was very pleased with the development of events. However, I saw his smile freeze on his face as my lawyer presented the judge with medical DNA evidence of Nancy's long-term infidelity. I could tell the judge was really angry. After some time, he removed both lawyers from himself. I knew what was going on, but Nancy had a puzzled look on her face. The lawyer whispered something to her. Her face turned pale as if blood had flowed out of it. She looked at me in complete amazement. The judge said, "This is an unexpected turn of events, and I am really put off by the overall impression that this court has been taken advantage of and deceived. However, I must understand that divorce proceedings are always a way to take revenge on the other spouse." The judge looked at me. "You were playing a dangerous game of perjury, and without this subsequent confession, it could have cost you dearly. Could you take a moment to explain, Your Honor?" When I found out that neither of my 2 children were mine, as confirmed by DNA testing, but had the same father, this meant that my wife had been cheating on me throughout the marriage. I am guilty of wanting her to also go through all the pain and sadness that her behavior caused me, I began to say. She can now take comfort in knowing that every bit of emotion she's felt over the last few months is what I'm feeling too. It didn't matter that her emotions weren't based on facts. I should also note that all my requests to leave my confession behind were categorically rejected by her. At least I wasn't lying by omission like she had been doing for the last 12 years. I love our 2 children deeply and wanted her to accept my offer to leave everything behind. I was willing to try to forgive her for the sake of the children. Within 4 months, she had many chances to avoid this mess and save our marriage. She didn't. The assets were split in 2, and the judge also ordered shared custody of our 2 angels. A few months later, after finding out who the father was, I also won a lawsuit against Nancy's boss, who awarded me over $200,000 in past child support and other expenses because DNA showed he was the father. Then, after testimony from some of Nancy's employees and managers who knew about her long-term affair with her boss, my lawyer sued their company for a much larger sum. The payout was ultimately agreed upon at about $450,000 for me after attorney's fees. Just to be clear, I love these 2 girls very much and want them to continue to be a part of my future. Dear viewers, thank you for staying with us and supporting our channel. See you again.